Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer, back with a video on the Aries new moon partial solar eclipse drawn up for March 29, 2025 at 6:57 a.m. Eastern Time. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for joining me. And if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so. Hit the like button and share the messages as you feel guided. Please feel free also to comment or ask questions. These are all free and easy ways to support this channel. And just a quick reminder for those who may be new, I read the chart as a microcosm for what's happening in the collective, and I include the house meanings. The philosophy I practice is that our subjective reality and perspective, and also actions, do impact the greater whole. Likewise, we can better understand what's happening in the collective and why when we take the time to study and master our own individual lives. And of course, the natal signature gives us a great deal of insight into our own authentic nature. With the current nodal axis in Pisces and Virgo, this microcosm to macrocosm theme is even more pronounced. The Virgo South Node represents the individual's body and health, while the Pisces North Node represents the individual's merging with the collective consciousness. Another way to think of it is the individual body as a cell, C-E-L-L, within the body of the Creator, that which constitutes all that is and ever was. So Virgo, the individual, is the seed that holds the hologram of infinite potential, represented by Pisces. The paradox is that it is only by embracing and turning our attention to our own world, our own microcosm, that we can ever make a positive impact on the whole of creation. The only way to is through. So what we're letting go of on the Virgo South Node side is our perceived separation from the collective and an old way of going about achieving health. This is illustrated by Mercury, the ancient ruler for Virgo, making a conjunction to the Pisces North Node. It's there to alert us to the ways in which we've forfeited our health and individual well-being to an institution, a centralized, one-size-fits-all approach to health, represented by Pisces, that has kept us in a paradigm of disease management rather than achieving true health. The USA's Neptune is in the sign of Virgo, so our nation's soul's true longing is to achieve health naturally and organically. And I'll get back to the USA in a bit, because there's a lot to unpack in that chart insofar as the aspects between this solar eclipse and the USA's chart. But when each cell of the body, analogous to the self, becomes truly healthy and happy, then that is what goes viral. It reminds me of what Wayne Dyer always used to say, that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. The Virgo South Node low vibe expression is that of hypercriticism towards self and others, nitpicking and dissecting the collective to the point of robbing others of their own individual choices. Clearly, this extreme undermines freedom of choice, which spreads toxicity into the collective. So when an individual self or cell of that body is toxic, then that is what goes viral and takes over the entire body system. Another extreme between Virgo and Pisces is the Martha-Mary analogy. Martha is the Virgo South Node. She is concentrating on staying busy and tending to the physical, tangible details of daily life, or in this case, putting food on the table. And on the other side, Mary represents the Pisces North Node, sitting at the foot of the master and just listening, receiving, and drinking in the wisdom as if by osmosis. This might seem to be a passive activity, but when you really think about it, listening requires a high degree of energy and discernment. The Pisces North Node allows us to drink in what is felt as much as what is seen and heard in the tangible realm. The miracle and the opportunity of the Virgo Pisces axis allows us to listen like Mary to what is not being said, so that we can sort out the truth and get rid of all the trash, which is a Virgo tendency. The high vibe of Virgo is the sorter, able to distinguish what is nourishment from what is waste. Eclipses always symbolize endings and beginnings, and this chart, it is especially pronounced with a Pisces stellium in the 12th and the Aries new moon in the 1st. Each in its own house, the 12th wraps up loose ends and karmic cycles, Pisces domain, while the first house represents birth, new beginnings, the dawning of a new day or era, and for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, quite literally springtime. It's important to remember, too, that the elements, earth and water, and that's Virgo and Pisces, their energy is moving downwards. Earth and water moves downwards and can have a depressive quality. Fire and air, on the other hand, like Aries is fire, Aquarius is an example of air. These elements move upward, so they can give us a lift, a lighter approach to our perspective. Earth and water keep us holding on. Fire and air help us to move on. And believe me, as a Scorpio, which is fixed water, I really understand how challenging it can be to take a lighter approach to our perspective on life. Fixed water obsesses over the dark, stark realities and the shadow side. And it's hard to be lighthearted when there is so much suffering in the world. This is precisely why we have to know our own signature, because our natal signature not only reveals what our weaknesses are, but also how to resolve them, how to heal them. Being able to change our own patterns of depression or taking ourselves and life too seriously, we transform our own extremes into a more balanced and harmonious energy, so that we can dance between the world of individuality and the collective without being swept up in the overwhelm of collective depression or trauma. It's easy to forget that the natural essence of life is laughter and joy. When all we give our attention to is the chaos, warring, and suffering this world has endured, if that's all we give our attention to, then that is what we invite into our own individual microcosm. And then it just becomes a vicious loop where our microcosm becomes toxic and puts that out into the collective and vice versa. And so the loop just keeps going and going and going. And that's what we call self-sabotage, which is another theme for the Virgo Pisces axis. So we are finally releasing all that heavy karmic baggage represented by Pisces and the 12th house stellium, and giving birth to this Aries fiery energy that renews life and helps us resonate with spring and the renewal of life. That's why healing that magical, playful, and innocent child within is the key to healing every heart. And that's what this Aries solar eclipse signifies and holds as the seed potential, the me first sign, the pioneer, pathfinder, and what would be analogous to the Fool in Tarot is the initiator and the catalyst. It represents, as I said, the newness of life. And this is our current path. And we can simultaneously let go of the old karmic patterns and past while we create anew, using the Pisces North Node to harmonize with this Aries new moon. We actually are writing over the past with a fresh new dream, perspective, and vision for ourselves and the planet. Because the high vibe of Pisces is holding that ideal vision and creating with the Aries pathfinder, infusing the Aries pioneering nature with the Pisces vision. So we create anew, we imagine a new reality, we dream up a brand new story and outcome for ourselves and the planet. As individuals, we have to be our own hero, heroine, plant the seed for a new outcome within the infinite potential of our personal hologram. If we feel ill-equipped, then that's good because it means we're on the right track. It's uncharted territory. It should be unfamiliar to us because we haven't been given a real role model to use these energies adequately. In fact, it is our personal vulnerabilities that actually become our superpower. And this is the Pisces Aries blending. Having the dialogue and asking for help is the first step, just like Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Let the master within, the infinite potential, reveal to you your own greatness. There are a lot of things that I could talk about in this chart, but I want to begin with Mars Chiron because in this chart we have the final square, 22 degrees Mars in Cancer to 22 Chiron in Aries. And then we'll look at this chart in relation to the USA's because there are very interesting connections to Jupiter, the USA's chart ruler, with Sagittarius rising. But Aries rising in this chart makes Mars this chart's ruler. Mars in Cancer reiterates the same theme we've been encountering for many months now since Mars went retrograde in early Leo, then back into Cancer where it's been squaring off with Chiron. Chiron in Aries is the energy of healing our personal I am presence and independent nature, allowing ourselves to be the pathfinder, the pioneer within our own lives. Cancer is the sign of the mother figure, the great mother, our home, domestic affairs, and with Mars, the dispositor of Chiron in Aries, the dynamic and common theme is one of protection. Aries is the masculine form of protection as the patriot, soldier, defender of our homeland, and Cancer is the mother, the womb space, the nurturer within the home, protecting the innocent and vulnerable. Extremely important to the USA because we are experiencing our Chiron return, a brand new 50-year cycle of healing. And what is the USA's brand, if not that of freedom and independence from a tyrannical government? Mars also forms a trine to Saturn, and both are masculine energies, yet they occupy Cancer and Pisces. This is the masculine principle, recognizing how important it is to embrace one's spiritual, emotional, and intuitive faculties. Neither masculine nor feminine energies are complete without the other. It is the nature of creation. Now let's look at Pluto. Just as Pluto's transit of Capricorn exposed the shadow government, Pluto in Aquarius is also going to be exposing the artificial intelligence agenda. Those who have said slavery never went away are absolutely correct. Slavery just took a different form. Instead of plantations with slave owners and slaves, the agenda for enslavement was injected into every single system, every detail and aspect of our lives. The human race does have a common enemy, and it is the shadow government that despise the power imbued within every human soul to align with divine life and remain sovereign. I do believe this is one of the many lessons we will be learning as the Virgo South Node continues to reveal how we have all been enslaved and our bodies used like rats in a laboratory. The Pisces North Node is guiding us back to the reality that all life is sacred and imbued with spiritual gifts. Those spiritual gifts are as important, if not more, than science and technology, because it is what makes us human. Saturn in Pisces is about creating societal structures and a government system that respects our spiritual gifts and individual faiths, acknowledging that they all have a common denominator. Pisces dissolves what Virgo separates and compartmentalizes. When Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, ingresses into Aries just one day following this eclipse, it is the rebirth of humanity's collective soul, claiming its spiritual sovereignty. So major spiritual awakenings are in store for us. Now let's look at the connections between this chart and the USA chart. We can see that this new moon activates the USA's fourth house. The ascendant sun and moon there are signifying a rebirth for the USA in the realm of the fourth house. And this is our home, our homeland, and our domestic scene. Our Chiron return has been underway since April of last year, and it takes Chiron 50 years to go all the way around the zodiac, so we are just beginning this cycle. But Aries on the fourth house cusp symbolizes the defender of freedom in the homeland. Transiting Mars conjuncts the USA's Mercury in the eighth house, and it's activating a similar energy of reassessing the message of what it means to protect the innocent and vulnerable from power abuses. Not to mention the siphoning of resources, because eighth house involves investments and resources. It's also about our psychic health and our spiritual well-being. So these are the abuses that Mars is activating so that we can see them for what they are and begin to heal from them. The Virgo South Node, conjunct the USA's Neptune, has us revisiting the long-standing deception around topics having to do with drugs and medicine as the sole treatment for disease management, rather than actually cure the illness. It's also a signature of hypercriticism toward our spirituality, with Neptune representing the soul, in Virgo representing separation from it. You could also look at it as separating the body, the microcosm represented by Virgo, from its infinite soul potential, represented by Neptune. We need to rediscover the ways that our spiritual connection to Source is actually how we heal, and provides us with options from an infinite variety of healing remedies. Neptune's ingress into Aries also reminds me of a quote from Rumi, which says, "Everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself." So the former paradigm was set up to have one centralized system that tells individuals how to think, how to feel, who to hire, who to fire, what to say and how to say it, what pronouns to use with certain individuals, and you better get it right or else. And this is a setup where the institution was telling the individual how to live, how to behave. My point is that there has been a one-size-fits-all approach that is now becoming dismantled. So I want to look at Jupiter now, because with Sagittarius rising, Jupiter is the United States chart ruler. Not only that, but it happens to be the ancient ruler for the Pisces North Node. Jupiter represents expansion, magnanimous benevolence, spiritual faith, leadership, abundance, and growth potential. To look at this, we begin with the USA's Jupiter to the solar eclipse, sun and moon, and it's making a square which causes tension that demands resolution between the collective energies and our desire to be independent and free. The USA's Jupiter to the solar eclipse, Mercury and Neptune also forms a square. This is about harmonizing the old with the new and using discernment regarding our past, Mercury retrograde, to literally square up with our future, leading us to our infinite potential and the way of the peaceful warrior. The USA's Jupiter to the solar eclipse, Pluto and ascendant forms a quincunx and a square, a quincunx to Pluto and a square to the ascendant. The quincunx from Jupiter to Pluto represents this awkward tension between our outlook on life, Jupiter, our beliefs, and the transformation at hand of AI, what its original agenda was intended to do to humanity, and Pluto in Aquarius is going to expose that. But it's also how it agrees with optimism and faith versus the group zeitgeist, telling us basically that in order to evolve, we have to accept AI into every aspect of our life. So remember that Pluto in Capricorn exposed government corruption all over the world. That's what Capricorn represents. In Aquarius, it's going to purge the group narrative, as well as the role artificial intelligence has played up to this point in the manipulation of the minds of humanity. The solar eclipse Jupiter to the United States, Mars, and Saturn forms a conjunction and trine, which is activating our independence and the systems that must support it. Saturn represents those systems. The solar eclipse Jupiter to the USA's Uranus and Sedna forms a conjunction and square. So there is tension and stress between growth and abundance, represented by Jupiter, with a human evolution, Uranus, and cosmic evolution, represented by Sedna. This tension will resolve through the common denominator of holding organic life sacred and respecting all life on Earth. The last thing I want to mention is a quincunx between the USA's moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius with our current South Node at 27 degrees of Virgo. The moon represents the USA's collective mood and emotional body, and it is making an awkward angle with the South Node representing our past. But the quincunx angle, analogous to first house body with sixth house health, is about us finding the more subtle ways and common themes between the awkward angles that lead to healing. So what Aquarius has in common with Virgo, Virgo's the human body and exercising discernment to sort out what is healthy from what is waste. And when it comes to Aquarius, that is what we have to do within the group dynamic. What information constitutes actual truth, an Aquarius theme, and what constitutes false narratives that threaten our health and well-being. We are moving away from a form of governing that sought to centralize every compartment and detail of our lives, forcing a one-size-fits-all approach to the microcosm, the individual life, to such a degree that it has become extremely toxic and invasive. Now we're cleaning up all that toxicity in the overgrown, institutionalized, centralized system and sorting out what is truly worthy of our hard-earned resources, whether it's money through the tax system or just life force energy. And instead of having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills, we can actually begin to live our lives, to thrive instead of just surviving. But we have a lot of purging yet to do while this nodal axis is underway. So to just wrap up, everything is within you. Ask all from yourself, not from the news, not from the government, not from your social circles, but from your own connection to the divine in a manner that soothes your own heart and soul, that nourishes your own inner child. And try not to take life so seriously. I know that's been a difficult lesson for me. So do the things and focus on those things that make your heart lighter. That is what will help other people in your world the most. So that is what I have for you. I hope you'll stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.